Hi guys, Buildzoid here, and quick update on the 6900 XT Red Devil Ultimate. Well, quick. We'll see if it'll be quick, but yeah, update on the 6900 XT Red Devil Ultimate. So, last video you saw this card, I added all the extra capacitors. So first up, the coil line it's not gone. Well, at stock clocks, if you're on stock power limits, it's gone. Like, it's completely gone. Now, I am not on stock power limits. I am on a custom power play table, so we have, like, no power limit. I think I set it to, like, over 1,000 watts or 2,000 watts or something stupid like that. So there's no way this is going to hit the power limit at this point. Anyway, but the max power draw is like 403 watts. Now, if you were on a normal BIOS for this card, then with this capacitor configuration, it's basically silent. When I first got this card, like, you could hear the caps very clearly. I mean, the input filtering inductors, because that's what's making the whine, so I'm right about that. Like, it's the input filter. The input part of the input filter, the inductors making it up. So yeah, the input filtering inductors were, well, screechy little screechy little things. I wanted to swear, but YouTube. Anyway, so yeah, they do still whine, but much less so. Like, you have to really, like, for most of the Fire Strike Extreme run, like, previously you would just sit down and you could basically tell which part of Fire Strike Extreme it was in based on the pitch of the coil line, because it was so damn loud. It went right over the fans, and it's not like I'm running the fans very slow right now, right? Like, I'm running this at benching settings, so the fans are quite up there, and the coil line would just cut straight through them because it's really high-pitched. Now, even with, like, the lack of a power limit that I'm running on the card right now, you basically hear it for, like, one part, like, right, there's a bit in GT1 where you can kind of hear the card squeak a bit, and then it goes back to almost being silent. Like, you can, if you put your ear up against the card, you can still tell, like, yeah, it's just still a bit of coil whine, but it's drowned out by the fan noise now, whereas before, like, you could just hear it over the fans, over everything. So this is no longer one of the loudest cards in my collection in terms of coil whine. But when I first got it, it really was, like, it was pretty close to being that. Anyway, other than that, I've finally given up on running the X570 Godlike, which was the best decision I've made in a while with the 5950X. The thing is, I was running the Godlike for a lot of the GPU benching because I wanted that PCIe slot layout for multi-GPU setups, but I only have one 6900 XT, and I don't really believe you can run dual 6900 XTs for any benchmarks anyway, so yeah, since we're on single GPU, I went back to the B550 Master. And the physics score is so much better than what I was getting out of the Godlike. Also, I can just run way better memory settings. Like, on the Godlike, I was struggling, like, well, the Godlike basically wouldn't reliably train anything more aggressive than, like, 3733 CL14. We're running 4014, 13, 12, 24. Subtiming's tightened up, like, spitting out a massive physics score. CPU is running 4.825 on CCX0, 4.75 on CCX1. So the CPU clocks are actually pretty similar to what the Godlike was running. But yeah, like, this is not even the highest physics score I've seen. Like, earlier today I saw, like, a 44,000. So that's great. Because the thing is, like, with the 5950X at least, like, the Firestrike physics test kind of scales with memory clock. Well, just memory performance in general. So also we're running 2000 FCLK. The thing is, for Firestrike, like, it's not stable, but Firestrike, like, the FCLK situation is kind of interesting. I think there's some kind of error correcting going on with it, but yeah, 2000 works for Firestrike. It won't pass proper stress tests. I wouldn't daily this, but, you know, this is for benching. I mean, the memory settings I'm running right now are 1.65 volts as well. I don't know that they're 100% stable, but Firestrike is passing, and that's all I care about. Anyway, so yeah, and in terms of the memory kit, we're on the Team Group T-Force Extreme 3600 CL14 sticks, because that's some of the best Samsung B-Die I currently own. So thank you to Team Group for that. Also, thank you to Gigabyte for the board. Thank you to my patrons for the 5950X and the 6900 XT. Because I had to buy those. Anyway, now I guess let's talk about what the capacitors did for overclocking. Well, 2858. And also, I don't know that this is maxed. We're gonna push the slider a bit further. in this video, but yeah, 2858 on air cooling. On frickin' air cooling. We are getting 33,000 points GPU score. This is with tessellation turned on. Like, I'm not, at least I think it is. I don't remember what the last, like, configuration, it should be. Advance. Yeah, so tessellation is on. So this is like this is just a monster score. And this is on stock voltage, okay? My record, my previous record, this right here, this is with volts. This is with so many volts. This was on like plus 88 millivolts. We're on plus 0 right now. Right? And that was getting 33,000 points, 867. Also, the physics score was way worse because of the godlike. Like, I just couldn't run proper settings on that board. Like, it's not anything I can do about that. Actually, when I was setting up the memory settings on the master, like, I punched in these settings, the first thing, and I was really worried that it wouldn't post, because on the godlike, if I tried to run this, it would just F9 immediately. And the master just kind of boots it right up, so... yeah, gigabytes like set like the daisy chain that they have this on the X570 boards as well, but the daisy chain that Gigabyte has on their like current AM4 motherboards is so good. It is so freaking good. It's amazing. 2 sticks, crazy frequencies, 4 sticks, you can still like you're going to max out them like the thing is if you're running 4 sticks, like this is a dual rank setup, so it doesn't clock anywhere near as high, but I can max out the Infinity Fabric with a dual rank setup, so that's all I really care about. Anyway, so yeah, I'm like right on top of my old score that needed like a ton of extra voltage. And I'm on, like, and right now we're on stock volts, and I don't know that the card is maxed. So we are going to try raise the volts some more. Also, I'm just like I think I just beat, like, this is what? This is a 5th place. Yeah, so like I can do 5th place on air cooling. I hope it's not just the CPU carrying me though. It might be. Okay, well the CPU. Well, no, I'm beating him on GPU score, so that's like yeah, I have a CPU score advantage which boosts the overall, but I have a bigger GPU score as well, and I have basically the same combined. So yeah. Anyway. Let's go faster. Oh no. Man, this bug is so annoying. So every so often, the AMD Radeon software, if you're trying to get into the tuning tab, it just crashes. The UI just crashes. I don't know why. It's really dumb. Anyway, so we're going to try 28... Okay, that's not going to work. Try 2865. Gonna keep this monitoring, because I like being able to see how much power it's pulling. I don't really pay attention to the clock readout, because I don't, like, with all of the, with anything with an advanced boost algorithm, like what you have on the 6900 XT, I just don't trust the software clock readings anymore. They lie. So anyway, let's try 2865. Now, when I first got this card, it would max out at, like, 2810, 2822 on the max clock, and, you know, now we have way more capacity. Like, there's a ton of little 22 microfarad multi-layer ceramics on the output of the V-Core VRM, and then the input filter is just huge compared to what it came with. I don't know, this might crash, but I'm hoping it'll run. The thing is, it's also really warm now, because it's like summer in the UK, so yeah, it's been bit too warm in my opinion. Man, the FPS seems down a bit. Like, I think the capture card might actually hurt the GPU score. That is an actual thing where if you're getting really high frame rates in some benchmarks, having a higher frame rate monitor for whatever reason can like improve the score a little bit. Like a couple percentage points. It's not a huge effect, but it is like a measurable it's a measurable repeatable effect where it's like what your GPU is actually sending a signal to can impact your GPU score, which is really dumb. Yeah. I'm like all of my like I don't have a single high FPS monitor. Like I'm probably going to buy a 144 Hz monitor just for benchmarking. Just so that I don't have to be like, well, I might be losing a percent, like 1% of my FPS to just having a 60 FPS monitor. Which is especially true for some older benchmarks. Like, I know there's some people who use, like, 300 hertz monitors for benching things like Vantage and older, like, yeah, Vantage, I think, is one of them. Because Vantage runs at, like, 600 FPS in some places. And it really doesn't make sense, because it's like, there's no VSync. Right, like, it's way past VSync. It's still running 600 FPS, but for whatever reason, higher frame rate monitors still somehow manage to boost the FPS even a little bit more. That's a bad physics run. It's not a good physics. Yeah, I've seen the CPU almost hit 160 FPS in physics a few times with this board. So like 159 something. Now we're coming on to combined. Kind of wanted to get the GPU in the shot. Also, I gotta say, Power Color has the like fan cables and the RGB cable for at least the front part of the shroud go along the outer edge of the heatsink. It's actually really nice for disassembly and reassembly. Super easy to take apart. Also, I got the camera angle so that you can see all the capacitors. Good job, me. Yeah. I don't think this is a good combined. But it passed, though. Like, that was 2865 max clock. Also, my method for overclocking the 6900 XT is to push the max clock and just keep pushing the max clock, and then once that's maxed out, start worrying about the min clock. Because this thing doesn't... Like, if you raise this too high too quickly, it'll actually crash you. Now, also, if it's too low, it'll crash you as well. But, yeah, like, there seems to be some kind of ratio. I've not been really paying too much attention to it. Like, it's just trial and error. 2873. If this runs, I'm going to be, like, so surprised. Like, for 2873, before all the input filtering, I needed, like, 50 millivolts or something extra. So it's like, this shouldn't run. Like, this just straight up shouldn't run. I'm pretty sure at this point, if I gave the card voltage, like extra voltage, it would actually run like it might hit 3 gigahertz at this point on air cooling, which is just completely stupid. Well, I don't know that it would actually run 3 gigahertz like on the clock readout, but I could probably set the max clock to 3 gigahertz and it wouldn't crash. And the thing is, like, as you raise the max clock, the performance tends to go up with it. Also, there's some run-to-run variance, so when you raise the core clock by just like 20 megahertz, you can't really expect it to do too much. Also, I really think the capture card might be tanking FPS. Yeah, that's still weaker. Like, that part where it blips 200 FPS, okay, so it won't run 2870. I'm going to quickly switch it over to the capture card. I mean, switch it off the capture card to the monitor and try it again. Because that is, like, I believe the capture card has caused me so many issues. I should get some kind of HDMI splitter for this. Yeah, okay, so you're not going to see anything right now, so you can, you know, look at the system. I am going to drop the core clock a little bit. We're going to go from back down to 2865. I am going to raise the min clock, though. So we're going to try 2620 on min clock, 2865 core clock. Because it, like, you know, you might be like, wait a minute, what about your test methodology to see if the capture card is tanking performance? Well, the thing is, I don't care. I want scores. I want to see what would be a cool score to, like, it's not going to beat my old score. There's no way. Like, there was a lot of voltage behind my old score. So we're not catching up to that anytime soon. But I don't know. I'd like to see a 31,200. I think that's doable. Alright, because I did the first score I showed on this video was 31,145. Okay, it just peaked at 209 FPS. So either the capture card just isn't... Oh, and it crashed. Okay. So we're going to lower the min clock again. But I really think... Like, that was like 4 FPS more. And I don't think the min clock was responsible for that. Like, maybe partially, but not entirely, I don't think. Fun fact, there's certain GPUs that, like, run best on, like, VGA outputs. Which is really dumb. Like, which is, like, super dumb. And they're relatively modern. Like, 700 series NVIDIA. You're better off running them, like, at least, well, I don't know if it's all cards, but I have a 780 Ti that runs significantly better on a VGA cable than it does on a, well, not a, like, it doesn't have a VGA output, so a DVI to VGA cable runs way better than HDMI, which is super weird. Okay, so it looks like the min clock was mostly, well, it still hit, okay, now it's just crashing repeatedly. I think it's too hot now. Yeah, it's probably, well, actually, what did I have it at? Let's try 2562. I think I had it at like 25, yeah. So at this point I need volts. Definitely need volts. But it's clocking higher than it would before the capacitors. Because when I got it, it was like 25, 40, 28, 20 for the clock settings. Now I can bench like 2850 max clock, which is way better. Well, not way better. That's like 30 megahertz, but yeah, I need to go find that micro USB cable. So that'll be it for the video. So yeah, the card runs. If anybody had any doubts about my ability to not break the card with my soldering, it runs for now. I don't know how long it'll, like, as I said in the soldering video, towards the end of the soldering video, the vast majority of my modified cards still work. So, yeah. And this time I completely crashed the drivers. Yeah, so I think at this point I just need more volts. So I really need to go find that micro USB cable. Man, like, it is so fast now. It is so freaking fast. And the thing is, like, they could include these capacitors from the factory, and this is an expensive freaking card, right? Like, I really don't get why. Well, yeah, no, I don't get how it makes any sense to ship these cards with as little input filtering as they come with, but yeah, so card improved, less coil line, clock's a little bit higher, which is what I was aiming for, right? Because, like, the thing is, it's like this isn't worth it for day-to-day usage. I guess, well, actually, I guess for most daily users, the coil line reduction would be nice. But for, like, from a performance perspective, yeah, this really doesn't make a difference, right? Like, we're talking about hundreds of points on a like 10, like, we're talking about margins of hundreds of points on a score that's in the tens of thousands, right? So really, really, like, from a performance perspective, we are talking about like 1% differences. Nobody cares. The coil line reduction is nice, I guess. So now if ever I decide to put this card in my daily system, at least it won't coil wine, so that's nice. And yeah. There. 6900X. So now I just need to get the backplate back on there. Well, doing standoffs, get the backplate back on. And eventually I want to run this card on Sub-Zero, like on LN2. Because there's I might have a chance at now having, like, the fastest 6900 XT ever. As long as the cold behavior isn't too annoying. Yeah. And also, like, we'll see. Like, we'll see. I don't think it's going to be too bad because it's in the, like, from what I've heard from other overclockers, you don't run these below -80 because they basically don't work below that temperature. Like, they don't run properly below that temperature. Not currently anyway. There is something I want to try to see if that can be remedied, but I'm not too fussed. I think, like, if I can take the scores without putting more effort into it, I'll take the scores without putting more, well, no. No, I think I will. What I'm talking about is there's a 0.75 volts rail, and I kind of wonder if, like, raising it up or down could help. Only issue is there's really not much. Oh, I guess I could put a potentiometer over here. There's like right next to the BIOS switch, put a potentiometer there. There's kind of a lot of empty space along the top edge of the card. So, yeah, actually this is a relatively nice, like, I think I mentioned this in some other video. Like, this is actually a really nice PCB from like a starting point for further modification perspective. Because from the factory, it's just a stretched reference card, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, you've got a lot of power stages. Well, you've got a lot of phases with a lot of power stages, and there's 70 amps. So, you know, like, there's plenty of power handling capacity. It's just that there's, like, no filtering for anything. Not on the output, not on the input. There's a coil line. You don't get proper voltage. Like, you don't get, like, you need to add the I2C header, but at least that's easy to find. Though that's actually easy to find on the vast majority of 6900 XTs. Yeah, man, I keep making this video. I said I was going to end the video, so let's end the video. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, share, wait, what is it? Yeah, like, share, subscribe, leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comments section below if you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking. I have a Patreon. There's a link to that down in the description below. There's also the AHOC Teespring store where you can pick up shirts, stickers, posters, you know, the usual YouTuber merch. Both of those would be, you know, it would be much appreciated if you check them out because, well, you know, I don't get GPUs for free. So, like, I had to buy this thing. And it was 1,800 quid. So, yeah. Please support me in my endeavors to push 6900 XTs 1% faster than they're able to do from the factory. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.